Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful tool that's changing the game for developers and data scientists, Amazon SageMaker. So let's jump right in.
So here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with the big challenges in the machine learning workflow, the tough stuff. Then we'll introduce Amazon SageMaker as the hero of our story. After that, we'll walk through how it manages the whole lifecycle, check out some real-world examples, and, you'll love this, we'll even figure out why it's got that cool name, SageMaker.
All right, first up, the ML Workflow Challenge. To really get why SageMaker is such a big deal, we've got to understand the problems it was built to solve.
So, have you ever wondered what actually goes into building a machine learning app you'd use in the real world? It's not as simple as flipping a switch. It's a journey.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive multi-step process. First, you've got to collect and clean up huge amounts of data. Then you actually have to build and train your model, basically teach it what to do. From there, you're testing, evaluating, and tweaking it over and over to get it right. And only then, after all that work, can you finally push it out into the world where it can start making predictions.
Okay, so that whole process sounds like a ton of work, right? Well, that's where our solution comes in. Let's introduce Amazon SageMaker, the managed answer to this whole ML challenge.
Seriously, that traditional way of doing things is a huge lift. It takes a ton of time, resources, and expertise. But what if there was a way to just streamline all of that?
And that's where Amazon SageMaker comes in. Think of it as your all-in-one, fully managed platform for everything machine learning. It's designed to help you build, train, and deploy models at a massive scale. The real key here is that it brings everything you need under one roof.
Okay, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's look at SageMaker's managed lifecycle and see exactly how it makes each of those steps we talked about so much easier.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the data. With SageMaker, you can pull in your data from all sorts of AWS spots like S3 or Redshift. But here's the cool part. It doesn't just stop at importing. It actually helps you get your data ready, spotting errors, flagging quality problems, and even sniffing out bias before it messes up your model.
All right, data's prepped. Next up is the fun part, building and training the model. You can get going super fast with their built-in models for common stuff. Or, if you've got something specific in mind, you can bring your own custom models. SageMaker then trains them on super fast, optimized hardware, and, this is a game changer, it can even tune the model automatically to squeeze out every last drop of accuracy.
And finally, deployment, getting your model out into the wild. Once it's ready to go, you've got a ton of options. You can put it on optimized EC2 instances, go serverless so it scales up and down on demand, or even push it out to the edge on devices like smart cameras. The flexibility is just incredible.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the how. Now let's talk about the what. Let's look at some real-world examples of machine learning in action, all powered by platforms just like SageMaker.
You're actually bumping into these systems all day long. Think about the product recommendations Amazon shows you, or when your bank sends you a text about a potentially fraudulent charge. Insurance companies use this stuff to predict risk, and airlines use virtual assistants to handle all those questions about delayed flights. These are all classic examples of machine learning doing its thing in the real world.
Okay, here's a story that might sound a little too familiar. Imagine this. You call your insurance company just to ask about a lost item. You're not even filing a claim. And then, a little while later, you notice your premium went up. What just happened?
So here's the deal. A machine learning model analyzed that call and found a statistical link between your inquiry and a higher chance of future claims. In the cold, hard language of the algorithm, you were just labeled a higher risk, essentially not great at looking after your stuff. It's a really direct and sometimes pretty surprising result of how predictive analytics work.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about the name itself. Why on earth is it called SageMaker? Turns out it's way more than just a clever marketing name.
So yeah, with a name like SageMaker, what's the big idea? What are they getting at?
It's actually a pretty cool analogy, right? A sage is someone who's super wise, incredibly knowledgeable, someone with tons of experience. The whole idea is that SageMaker gives you the tools to become that wise sage for your company. It helps you unlock all that hidden wisdom and all those insights that are just sitting there, buried deep inside your data.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. First, SageMaker is a fully managed machine learning service. It handles the heavy lifting for you. Second, it simplifies the entire ML lifecycle: prepare, build, train, and deploy. And maybe most importantly, it's the tool that lets you turn mountains of complex data into powerful, real-world predictions.
And that really leaves us with just one final question to think about. With a platform this powerful, if you could unlock the wisdom from any data set in the world, what massive problem would you solve first? Thanks for tuning in.